Hi everyone, welcome back to Crafting at Whimsy Wonderland. My name is Stacy. Now, I don't know about you, but I have a mess of stamps and stamps with embossing folders that go with the set and stamps that have dies that go with them. And I've been working on a storage system, and I had some that I had done a while back and I've been using it, and I do like this, so I thought I'm going to go ahead and finish this project, and I thought I would share with you what it is that I'm doing that's making my craft stamp and die storage so much easier. I have come up with one thing I do want to change, and so I will tell you about that in just a second. Let me clear these away and I'll be right back. Okay, so I cleared most of that away and I brought out the supplies that you're going to need. What we're making is these little plastic holders, and I have a piece of cardboard inside. And for the ones that have dies, I have a little magnetic strip, and then on the back, if there's an embossing folder that goes with it, like this is just a die set with an embosser. The embosser goes on one side, the dies go on the other. What I have found is I don't really like having the die and the stamp together, because when they're pressed up against each other and this stamp, these two stamps here are pushing against this die, it's not good for the stamp. So I either need to flip this around so that the die is in the back, and I think I will put it at the bottom. But that's the first thing I did do, was sort my stamps by stamps that are just stamps, stamps that are stamps that have dies with them, and stamps that have embossing folders with them, whether or not they have a die and a stamp or not. So I just kind of sorted into different piles. But the first thing we need to do is to make up the little pockets. And I did purchase a bunch of magnetic sheets from Walmart. They were going to start getting a little bit pricey, so I started looking around Dollar Tree trying to find something that would work, that would be more economical. And I did find something, and I forgot to take a picture of it before I covered it in contact paper, so I'm hoping you can kind of see on the back. See how those are punched out? This is a sheet of magnets. I found it in the party aisle next to where the banners are. And I was worried about the pieces once I cut. I was worried about the little magnet pieces falling out. So I bought a roll of the Dollar Tree contact paper, and I just put the contact paper over the top. That's what I did for my magnetic sheets. And then I can cut them down to the size I need. This one, I had just a scrap, but I only had one small die. So I just used a scrap of the magnetic. And the reason I'm using the magnetic is because it holds the die in place, and it keeps it from, if there's a bunch of them, it keeps them from sliding around. Those are pretty firm. Here's what I use to make the pockets. They're from the Dollar Tree. There's 2 in a pack. They're by Jot, and they're just called poly envelopes. Now, they come in all different colors. They're meant to go into your binder. Take the 2 pockets out. And if you wanted to, you could cut your magnetic sheet to fit in here, and you could store a whole bunch in here. But I am not a binder storage gal. I like to be able to leaf through things. So I'm cutting them down because I want to keep the sets together without having to worry about them falling around. Okay, so I've got my 2 folders, and if you have wider things to store, you might want to go through this extra step of taking the snap out. And you can do that just by prying it with a screwdriver or a putty knife or something to get up under the snap, and popping it off with your wire cutters. Okay, I'm just going to show you this one real quick. It shoots up there, and you can just take it out. Do the same thing with the bottom. And then what I do is I just kind of run my finger through where this tab is and get rid of this. And then you've got this awkward little piece of plastic that serves no purpose. It serves a purpose if you're putting it in a binder, but I'm not doing that. But you can cut it off there if you want, but in the inside it's open clear down to there. So what I would suggest doing is just cutting this off, or you could even leave it on if you wanted. It is totally up to you. Now, in my first ones, I cut off that, and so I ended up with a shorter pocket. But some of my stamps are just taller, and I'm finding that if I cut off this little wasted flap of plastic because I'm not using it in a binder, then it gives me a little more height to work with. Okay, now you can do this one of two ways. If you want to take the time to remove the snap, then just draw a line down the middle where the snap was and cut it in half. Or you can take a ruler and draw a line as close to the snap as you can get it. You're just going to lose a good 3/4 of an inch of possible width. So I prefer to take off the snap, and this inside one can be a little bit of a bugger. So I like to put something underneath it, and this is just a paper piercing tool. X-Acto knife would work, but you just need to be able to lift it up a little bit so that you can get your wire cutters up underneath of there to pull that off. Okay. Sometimes it's easier said than done. It takes a little effort, but anything worth doing sometimes does take a little bit more effort, and it could break, you know, whatever. You're not saving it, so it really doesn't matter. Get a hold of it and pull it out of there. Okay, then the back slips it out as well. And don't forget, you get 2 in a package, so it makes 4 pockets for $1. That's a pretty good deal in my opinion. So then what you need to do, you've cut off that extra piece, you have your pocket, grab a Sharpie, or you can freehand this if you want. And I'm just eyeballing it right through the middle of the hole where the snap was and drawing a line. That's where I'm going to cut it. Okay. So now that you've opened up your flap, you have this opening here that needs to be sealed up in order to make a pocket. There's a couple of ways you could do that. If you have a fuse tool, it'll basically make a seal like this that's already existing. You can do that right there. I have a fuse tool, but that's not my chosen way of doing it. I prefer the Scotch tape method because then you can store stuff inside all the way to the edge. It allows extra space. So what I'm doing is just peeling off a piece of Scotch tape, and this is the wide 3/4 inch stuff. And I recommend the crystal clear. Crystal clear seems to stick better for some reason than the frosted. And then I'm going to line it up on the side of my pocket. Packing tape would work great for this. Push it down really well. Flip it over. Fold it to the other side. And boom, you have a pocket. So now that your pocket's made, this flap stays closed pretty well because it's plastic and it's been really well creased. But if you want to make it so that it has a permanent closure on it, get these dots, these Velcro dots from the Dollar Tree. And the best way to do that is to stick the 2 pieces together, stick it up on your flap, push it down, and let it go really, really hard. I choose not to do this because I have limited space in my storage baskets or drawers that I'm using, and when you put those dots there, they're going to all land in just about the same spot, and that's going to pile up thickness upon thickness upon thickness on top of the die that's in there, the piece of magnet, the piece of cardboard, the embosser. All of that stuff is going to be in there, and it's going to get really thick really fast. So I choose not to do the Velcro because 1, it takes up space, but 2, I don't think it's necessary. These, I haven't lost anything. The magnets hang on really well, and these stay shut. There's kind of that little static cleaning thing that's happening, and it's kept my dies safe, and they've been in this for almost a year now. On to the next step. You need your magnetic sheet from the Dollar Tree. And you're just going to mark it a tiny bit smaller. Make sure you flip it over so that the sealed side is on the outside edge so you're not cutting stuff you don't need to cut. Pretty sure these are square. 10. Yep, these are 10 by 10. So this is a lot cheaper than getting it at Walmart. So I'm thinking if I just cut my magnet sheet 5 inches, and I don't need to go all the way to the top with my magnetic sheet because I never have that many dies. If I leave a good spacer here, then I can use this scrap. If I only leave this 1 inch, that scrap's kind of useless. So I think I'm going to use a 2-inch scrap. So I'm going to mark this at 8 so that I leave my 2-inch scrap. I'm going to mark it at 8. I don't know if you can see that at home. Black on black's a little hard with the camera. And then I'm going to draw a line. All of this is about getting the most use out of this magnet page as I possibly can. Okay, so this cuts pretty easily with a pair of scissors. They need to be a good sharp pair of scissors. Don't get your cheap little scissors or your little kid scissors left over from school. Don't use those. Okay, so now I have a 2-inch strip which I can put down the middle or the bottom of a piece of cardboard like I did here when I only had 1 die that went with this set of stamps. Okay, and then I'm going to mark it at 5 and just cut it in half. Now, when you go to cut this, when you go to cut this, some of these magnet pieces might try to come off. And if they do, that's okay. Just kind of reattach them with a little piece of Scotch tape. Like here, there's a really little piece and it's trying to let go. So I'm just going to wrap a little piece of Scotch tape, not even that big, around the edge, and that's going to hold that piece in there. It's not going to go anywhere. Oops. Then you can slide your magnet sheet inside and your dies can go on that. If you are going to put dies on one side and stamps on the other, I would recommend putting a piece of cardboard in there just for the stability. Also for just making it nice. This is where you need to become a little bit of a hoarder. Anytime you get something from Amazon or other things, sometimes they come with little pieces of cardboard in it just to protect whatever they're shipping. Save these. This is a little bit heavier than a cereal box. You could absolutely use a cereal box. I would not use anything corrugated because that, again, is going to give pressure points to your stamp, and you don't want that because if your stamp has pressure points on it, then it's not going to keep your stamps nice for as long. Your stamps are going to get those indentations from these dies if they're pushing up against them. These dies are made of metal, the stamps are made of silicone, and sometimes those indentations that you make in your stamp, you can't get them out, and then you're not going to get a clear stamp. So you need to be careful about that. So what I'm doing is I'm just marking off my 5-inch wide piece of cardboard, cutting it with my scissors, and that's going to leave just that little scrap, which will go back into my cardboard stash. Also, the backs of your scrapbook paper sometimes have a nice thick cardboard. So I have my magnetic sheet in there, and now I'm going to stick in my cardboard sheet that's going to keep everything safe and protected. And now I have this lovely portfolio piece ready to go. Still have this piece to make the other folder. So I spent $3. I spent $1 on this package of portfolio envelopes. There's 2 in it, so it's going to make 4 portfolios, and I had to buy 2 magnetic sheets to get 4 pieces. Okay, so for $3 I have made 4 very nice little storage pieces. And I think if you go and order them from some of the companies that sell them, they're about $4 a piece, and you're getting 4 for $3. Takes a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, but I think it's totally time well spent. Let me show you how I'm going to use this to help me save some space. I flipped the card and magnet around because I want to see the stamps in the front. I want to be able to see them as I'm flipping through. So I have these 4 sets of stamps that I got on clearance after Valentine's Day from Michaels. They're all Valentine's Day themed. So I'm going to store them all in one pouch because there's plenty of room in this pouch, and I can get easily 3 of this little band this way, or I can go this way and I can easily get all 4. Okay, and then the dies will just slip into the back. So I'm going to pull out my cardboard. Okay, so I'm going to carefully peel that off. So then I can pull that down, take off the stamps I want. They can go right back onto their little square. Okay, and then I have the magnet sheet. And these are just attached with a little double-sided tape. I'm going to pull that off, stick it to the magnet sheet. Okay, 1 stamp set done, and now I just need to do the others. So I have all 4 sets of stamps, and I have all 4 sets of dies. So I'm going to carefully slide these in. I always slide the die in first because they're the ones that are less attached. They're not permanently attached with tape. And then in go my stamps. And then I would label these and label them with a sticky note. See how the project comes out. And this is stamps and dies. So I'm going to label that on there so I know it. And I'm going to just stick it on there, or I can even stick it in here. I could write it backwards and stick it underneath. So just going to stick that in there for now so it's labeled. So I know what it is when I'm looking for it a little bit later to do the final organization. The first step is just to get all the stamps out of their packages and into these portfolios. And see how nicely that works? I finally finished my stamp storage project, and I went from that big messy stack at the beginning to this stack right here. Now I ran out of folders, so I went to my Dollar Tree to get more, and they were out. I went to I think 4 different Dollar Trees that are all within 15 minutes of my house, and I could not find them. But what I did find, I'm ending up liking even better, and this is what I found. I used them all up already, so this is the same, put out by Jot. It's button file bags, and it's 3 in a pack instead of 2. And what's awesome about these is they are a little bit wider than those ones I showed you yesterday. I had never seen these before. They are not as sturdy of a plastic, but when you've got cardboard in there, it doesn't matter. So I will probably use the sturdier ones, probably move some things around and put the dies in the sturdier ones just so there's more protection, and put the stamps in the lighter weight ones, which is kind of what I have right now anyway. But I need to show you this. I cut them in the same way, took the snaps off and then cut them in half. Look how much more I can get in there. That's over 1 inch. This will make bigger and less expensive pieces for you. Now, with the magnet sheets, you could cut your magnets bigger to fit that, but then you're going to have a lot of wasted, because I cut this magnet sheet in half to fit into these. Okay, so I think you could probably get away with still cutting the magnet sheet in half and just not having it go all the way to the cardboard on the die cut side, and then you have the whole other side to put your stamps on. I'm really, really liking these. Now the flap is different. The flap on this one's really wide and the flap on this one's really skinny. So this one doesn't stay down as well, but I think once it gets into the file box and just kind of settles in a little bit, that might stay down a little bit better. So if you want a bigger, not quite as sturdy, but more economical option than what I showed you at the beginning, button file bags, 3 pieces. Okay, so I spent another, I think, $4 today, which made 12 pockets, and I have now got pockets left over, and for the pockets or the stamps that I only had stamps and not stamps and dies, I just pulled those magnetic sheets out. So I've got plenty of extra magnet sheets and pouches ready to go for any time that I get more stamp sets. Now, the wider pouches did not fit in that basket. So this is just one of those file boxes, photo boxes from Michaels. And I'm going to put the lid on the bottom of it just to give it a little more stability. And then this will just sit on the shelf in my craft closet, and I will have these organized. I'm probably going to make some tabs, I think, and divide them by florals, holiday, sentiments, that kind of thing. I kind of already did that as I put them into the pouches, and now I just need to sort the pouches out. So that is my project for storing my clear silicone stamp and die sets. I'm hoping that this will make their lifespan a little bit longer because these things are expensive. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. That helps my channel out. And make sure you are subscribed to my channel. I've got Christmas in July coming up here in just a few days. I hope you go out to the Dollar Tree and get some of these supplies and try this for your own if you are a stamper. So if you have any comments, leave them below. I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. And let me know if you try this project and if it worked for you, and maybe what kind of tweaks you made to it to make it work for you. And show us a picture, or if you have another way of storing your stamps, show us a picture of that too. We're always looking for different ways to store things. I like to be able to just thumb through and look. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. This has been Crafting at Whimsy Wonderland. I will see you next time.